Hi guys, it's Jessie, yoga therapist from Evolutions, here for our daily time together. Again, we'll be working with a reading and a meditation by our beloved Mark Nepo's Book of Awakening. And a lot of times I modify the meditations that he offers, or I offer one of my own. But tonight I'm really interested in the meditation that he suggests, because it involves a bit of a somatic exercise. And I want to emphasize that there's a million ways to do a meditation, and using the body has its own innate wisdom, allowing the body to be a part of our meditation. In fact, I would argue that yoga, asana, yoga, the way we think of it in this culture, yoga classes, movements, postures, are all meant to be a moving meditation, right? So I'm gonna accept his challenge tonight that we play sort of a little game, and the game involves 3 small objects. He's encouraging us to find 3 small objects. And I have a crystal and a shell and a little clay heart that my son's made for me. But you could have anything at all. Keys, stones, coins, jewelry, whatever. And I'll just place those here while you perhaps pause me to go find something of your own, and I'll meet you back. Hi. So I'm going to read first, and this writing is about fear, perhaps for very obvious reasons that I thought it might be worthwhile to talk about fear. I'm sure I'll be talking about it again in the coming weeks. And this is a time when a lot of us are feeling the same thing or similar things on a spectrum that's the same, right? The collective consciousness, globally, has a pretty shared experience right now. And well, there's a lot that's heavy about that is as we wish it were not. It's a common Buddhist concept that it's helpful to ponder the ways in which we are connected. And that it's nourishing and spiritually awakening for us to feel into and experience how we have much more in common than we have that separates us. That many, unspeakably many, life-affirming, wonderful things ripple from that belief, and that the more of us that believe that, the bigger the ripples, right? So I guess I'm just suggesting that there's an opportunity here for us to drop into perhaps an understanding of one another more than we might have had a month ago or 2 months ago. And that if nothing else, there's something worthwhile in feeling together. And we are much more than our fear. And perhaps perhaps the more that we find these other parts of ourselves, we are also contributing to that web. And the more that others can find that, come up for air, come back down, bring us some oxygen, right? The better. So I think my offering tonight is just that each one of us does our one piece to feel it all, to allow and accept and even make space for that which is fear and that which is not. So a lot of concepts. That we're chatting about tonight. We could go in a lot of different directions, but for now I think I'll just encourage you to, expand wide enough to feel it all. And we'll play a little bit with, trusting at the end. So this begins with quote from the beloved Parker Palmer. And he says, "I will always have fears, but I need not be my fears, for I have other places within myself from which to speak and act." It's worth reading twice. I will always have fears, but I need not be my fears, for I have other places within myself from which to speak and act. We could do a meditation just on that, and perhaps I will. But I'll keep reading Mark Nepo's words. No feeling takes over our lives more suddenly or more completely than fear. It seems to come up from nowhere and in a blink or swallow can infect everything. The blind Frenchman, Jacques Luciran, describes how, as he was losing his vision, fear was the main thing that truly prevented him from seeing. There were times when the light faded quickly, almost to the point of disappearing, he said. It happened every time I was afraid. If, instead of letting myself be carried along by confidence and throwing myself into things, I hesitated, calculated, thought about the wall, the half-open door, the key in the lock, if I said to myself that all these things were hostile and about to strike or scratch, then without exception, I hit or wounded myself. The only easy way to move around the house, the garden, or the beach was by not thinking about it at all, or thinking as little as possible. And then I moved between obstacles, the way they say that bats do. Otherwise, what the loss of my eyes had not accomplished was brought about by fear. It made me blind. More than anything, fear blinds. And only by stepping without hesitation into the next inch of the unknown can we build confidence in the life we are about to live. Such a powerful reading. So I'm not suggesting that we don't think. I understand we want to be good citizens, we want to be informed. And there's a lot of reasons why that's a good idea. And I just want to add, before we do our meditation, that it's up to each one of us to be responsible for the amount that we're digesting, the size of the media diet, and perhaps reflect upon how much detail you need, how often, and I just encourage you to start, for starters, to notice the impact, and maybe to experiment with changing the diet and seeing how it makes you feel. Essentially asking yourself, how much do I need to know in order to continue to make good choices? And what is above and beyond that now? Not anything that can change my choices, but it changes my being. Right? So that's a balance each one of us has to find. So I'll move back to my mat and guide us through this meditation with our three objects. So we're encouraged to place these three objects in front of us and have a sense of where they are. Closer, farther. I would say within a comfortable reach. Within a comfortable reach. And sort of play with it. And then we'll close the eyes. And center yourself. Allow yourself to drop into the physical body. And perhaps take several breaths to let go of anything that you're holding right now. It'll be there when you're done. Anything that your body's willing to let go of for just any amount of time. Some stress or tension or thinking or planning or remembering. Mentation, emotion. You can let it be. Right. And just add the physical awareness of the body. And at some point, the breath. Perhaps finding longer breath. Or a more lengthened or slower exhale. And then whenever you feel ready, I'll encourage you to reach in front of you and find one object and simply place it somewhere else. Reach for another, placing it somewhere else. And just move slowly like this, unrushed. And I'd like for you just to kind of, have a way to play with this game of just reaching without so much thinking. As you continue at your own pace to find an object, move it around, perhaps around your body in space. It's absolutely up to you. And it's just an experience, maybe of feeling around a bit, maybe not. Having a lightness and a play, a playfulness, but also some serious appreciation for a sense that is much like bats and sonar, that there's some perhaps energetic connection to the ground or to objects of intention. Notice if you have the desire to peek as though there's a way to do it right or wrong. You can even let yourself peek and see how that feels. You know, experiment. But most of all, see if even for microseconds you can just notice that the body has its own reach that does not necessarily involve your head. Let your arms kind of just play, do their thing, less driven by the brain. Maybe we're growing our capacity with an exercise like this, growing our capacity to trust the cells of the body, trust some fabric of nature or divinity. And we'll just do that for another several breaths, or maybe half a minute. If you feel ready to be still, you could do that for now, or you could take a few more. You might sort of set them where they feel best before coming to any comfortable seat. You can shift the body at this point if you like, or change it. Allow yourself to let the exercise go. And just be back. In stillness and quiet. May we find ways to practice trust. May this practice be meaningful. May we remember our connections to one another more than our differences. May this practice be meaningful. May we expand wide enough to hold fear and to hold that which is not fear. May this practice be meaningful. Let's bring our hands to the heart center. Let the head rise up and then drop down. With reverence to these cells, with reverence to this body. The food body, Annamaya Kosha, the densest of our forms, with its own innate intelligence, allowing that head to drop perhaps a bit more, surrendering the intellect. And when you're ready, we'll let that head slowly roll up. I thank you for spending this time with me. May this whole practice be meaningful. May this practice bear fruit, and may the fruits of our practice benefit all beings everywhere. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. Thank you so much, everybody, and I'll be back with you tomorrow.